Hi everyone, I'm Luke from the Hashgraph DevRel team. I'm just going to be showing you some atomic batch transaction demos today and how to use it. So we're going to be using testnet as well on Hedera. So we're going to start by initializing a new project. We're going to be using the JavaScript SDK. Setting up the package JSONs and the TypeScript. Great. I'm just going to change this over here to a module as well. And then what we're going to do, I think we should do a HCS example here. Cool. So now we need to install the SDK. Install .env as well, because we're going to need to store our private key somewhere. Make a .env file as well, so we're going to have to do that later. Great, so now we're going to import everything we need. Client, private key. Public key, account ID, HBAR and HBAR unit. We're going to use transfer transaction as well, because what I think we do is we could set up sort of 4 transactions in one atomic batch transaction, whereby we send HBAR to account A, write that to HCS as a message, and then transfer to another HBAR account, and then write that to the same topic, and we can have, transaction sent to party A and transaction sent to party B. And then topic message submit transaction for submitting to the topic, and then finally batch transaction as well, which is the whole reason you're here. Config. Just set up functions, call all this in. Cool. Now we can get started. So what we're going to need is we're going to need our public key, we're going to need our account ID, we're going to need our private key, and finally we're going to need a topic ID as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to head over to the portal, and you can see here we've got our accounts, our testnet accounts here. What we're going to do as well is head over to the playground. I'm going to head over to HCS here. We're going to create a topic as well. So this will populate everything you need. It even pulls in the details for you. As you see here, I can update which one I want to use, and today we're using ED 25519. So we're going to go ahead and execute that, and that should create a HCS topic for us. There we go. Copy that. Get to save the file. I'm going to call this topic underscore ID. And we're going to need operator D. Cool. I'm going to head back over here to the dashboard, we're going to grab our account ID. Oh. Like so. Get our private key. And we're going to get our public key as well here. And the great thing about this as well, you can see I've currently got just under 1,000 HBAR, and if I hit this refill, it will top it back up to 1,000 HBAR. So best practice is use as much HBAR as you can, then hit refill. You'll get yourself 1,000 HBAR every 24 hours. And then if you need just a little top up, you can hit the faucet and you'll get an extra 100 HBAR, again, every 24 hours. Great, so now we save this. And we can begin. So let's start by setting up our client. Account ID. Pull that in. Oops. And this will throw an error because it hasn't got a type. So we'll just put that there, and that will get rid of that. To close that off properly, like so. Method private key dot 25519. Operator private, and then we're also going to need not bytes, we need from strings, that's what we're giving it. And we're also going to need our batch key because we need to sign the inner transactions with a batch key as well. So we're going to pull in our public key as well. Call this one batch key. We want from string 22519. Great. Now we're going to set up our client. And what you can do as well, you can do for mainnet if you're using mainnet. You can do for previewnet if you're using previewnet, or you can use for testnet if you're using testnet. But you've also got this really handy one as well called for name, and I use this one. Reason being, to save me having to keep updating my code, what I can do here is I can call this one Hedera_network, like so, and just say testnet. And then in the code, I can just do process.env.Hedera network. And this, if I update it in the .env, it'll update it in the code, so it makes life a lot easier. I'm going to set our operator as our operator ID and our operator key, like so. Great, so now that that's set up, we need to choose two accounts we're going to be sending some HBAR to. So let's choose two lucky accounts. Let's see, we're on testnet here. Let's choose two lucky accounts that are going to get some free HBAR. Const, call this one const account A. Let's choose another one. Cool. Then we also need our topic ID, which I believe I saved in here. There we go. importing from the .m file, so we need to do it like this. Cool, that's looking good. So now we're going to be setting up the inner transactions that will go through as the batch transaction, as the atomic batch transaction. So I'm going to do const put this on transfer to A. Add HBAR transfer. Operator ID. We're going to transfer it 1 HBAR. Perfect. Choose account A. Perfect, so you can see that we're transferring from our operator 1 HBAR to our account A. And then this is where we need to set the batch key. We're going to freeze with our client, and then we're going to sign it as well with our operator key. Perfect. So that's our first transfer set up. So now we're going to do our topic submit message as well. Call this one topic message A. Like so. Set our topic ID. I'm going to call that topic ID because we've already set that up here and we're pulling it in from the M file. I'm going to set the message here as well to say to party A. And then we're going to set our batch key, freeze it, and then sign it. And we need to be calling freeze with. Cool. So now what we want to do, if we copy this one down just to save, typing it all out again. Call this one transfer to B, still same transfer from, and then we change this on here to transfer to B as well. And then yeah, set batch key again, set client, set operator, and then we're going to do the same again for our topic submit message, except this time it's going to be called topic submit message B, and then we're going to say payment sent to party B. So we've got all of those transactions there set up nicely, and now we're going to actually create the batch transaction here. So let's log this out and say we're executing our batch. Waiting on your batch transaction, and we're going to add in a transaction, transfer to A, we're going to do this 3 more times. Let's do that. And make sure to update each individual one. So you can see in here we've got our transfer to A, our topic message about the payment going to A, our transfer to B, and then our topic message about sending the transaction to party B. And then again we're going to freeze with our client. I'm going to sign again with our operator key. Once that's all done, we're going to sign the whole thing with our operator key. It's looking good. So now we want to see what the receipt is like. So I'm going to set that up. Get receipt, client. Then we're going to want to console log that out. Receipt.status toString. Perfect. And then we're going to want to close off our client connection as well. TS node, and this is HTS example. What I need to install. Text. So we got an error there that it doesn't like. Just check all of these. Account ID. I see the issue. Like we're pulling in operator ID twice here, so he's not liking that. And yeah, look, I've made a typo here. We change that to operator key. Update that. Now we should work. There you go, look at that. So now we can actually have a look at this in action as well. So if we head back over to Hashscan, we're going to go to our topic and have a look at our messages. Look at that. So you can see there as well, they were created in order as well. Payment sent to party A, payment sent to party B. Perfect. And then we're going to have a look at the actual transaction. We go to our account here, go to operations. You can see here, atomic batch. You can also see the create topic that we did through the portal as well. So atomic batch transaction, crypto transfer, submit message to topic, crypto transfer, submit message to topic again. And then if you want as well, if you want to see sort of all the transactions under one atomic batch transaction, you can click on here to see the atomic batch transaction here, and you can see the transactions of this batch as well, and then you can see everything in there as well in one easy to view way. And something else which is really handy to see, if we change this topic ID to break it, and run it again, it should throw an error here. And it will say, yeah, inner transaction failed. And if we head back to Hashscan, have a look at our recent operations, you can see the atomic batch transaction failed. And it will say inner transaction failed up here. And if we go into transactions of this batch, it will tell us where it's failed here. So you can see the crypto transaction here actually passed, so this one works. You can see here reverted success. However, if you look at the submit message where we try and submit to the topic, you can see here invalid topic ID. So you can use this to diagnose where in your batch transaction the actual individual transaction which is failing. So it's really easy to debug. And what we can do next, if we clear this all out as well, so we're sort of starting from scratch as such, we could have a look at doing some NFT transfers as well. So if we create a NFT collection, let's do that here. I've got some code here as well I've used previously. So all we're doing here is virtually exactly the same as the atomic batch transactions. We're creating our client here on testnet as well, just because I haven't set that up for testnet as well. And what we're doing here is we're creating a supply key, and we're creating a freeze key. The supply key allows us to mint new NFTs, and the freeze key allows us to freeze accounts that can interact with the NFT. So for example, if we send it to someone and freeze it, they can't then transfer that to anyone else. So what we're going to do now is we're going to execute this. So we have our NFT collection. Perfect. So you can see here we've got our freeze key, public, private, supply key. So we're going to take all of these and we're going to stick it in our .env. And we also need the token ID as well. Tidy that up a little bit, and then we're also going to take the token ID here as well. We'll call this one NFT ID, like so. Cool. So what we need to do now is we need to create a new file. Call this one NFT example. Then we need our imports, and we actually need a lot of similar imports as well from here. So if I copy all of this, perfect. So what have we got? Client, private key, public key, account ID. We don't need HBAR units. Transfer transaction. Topics. No, we don't need that. We do need batch transactions though, but we're also going to need token ID. Token mint transaction, token freeze transaction, token unfreeze transaction, transfer transaction. I think that's it for the minute. Perfect. So we've already got most things that we need already. So we've got our operator ID, operator key, batch key, client setup as well. And then we're going to need a couple other bits as well. So we're going to need our token ID. We're going to need our recipient ID, and we're also going to need a recipient that has associated this NFT. So what we're going to do, we're going to take our token ID, we're going to head back over to the playground, and we're currently using the ED25519 account. And what we're going to do is we're going to swap over to our other account that we have. So go to HTS, and we're going to find associate tokens to an account, and then we need to make sure that our account ID is correct. So we're going to swap this over to the EDCSA one, and we're going to take our token ID, and we're going to execute that. Perfect. So you can see that token is now associated to our account, which is perfect. So we're going to grab that account ID, head back over to our code, and we're going to add in a recipient ID. So, perfect. Back over to our NFT example. So our token ID, and then we need our recipient. Token ID, recipient. We're also going to need our freeze key, supply key. We've already got our batch key. Let me move this down here so we have everything together and it looks nice. When we create those, what ED25519. Freeze create private. Perfect. Supply key. We're also going to need our metadata for the NFT as well. So what we could do, NFT underscore metadata, and then we're just going to create this in our .env as well. And this can just be sort of blank, so IPFS, CID, like so. Okay, it's looking quite strong. So What we need to do now is we're going to need to mint a new NFT because we didn't create any NFTs, initial supply 0. So we're going to need to create a new NFT and then we can test that and see if we can bundle it up in a batch transaction. So yeah, we can do it all as one call as well. Token mint transaction. Set the token ID. Let's set the token ID. We're also going to set the metadata as well. It should be buffer from metadata like that. We need to freeze. So freeze with our client. And then we're going to sign it as well with our supply key. So you need to sign it with the supply key. Otherwise you won't be able to mint an NFT. We're going to execute it with client. Like so. And then we're going to get the receipt as well. We need to get the serial for the NFT as well, so we know which one we're dealing with. Otherwise, if we try and hard code that in, it will go all kinds of wrong. Yeah, mint NFT, serials, and then we want the first one in the array, so it gives us the one that we've created. Log, and I'm going to just log this out and do status. Status. And then we're going to also want the NFT serial. No, because we've already done that logic just above as well, so serial. Perfect, so here we're going to be minting the NFT and getting the serial. So why don't we see if that works. Perfect, so status 22 means it was successful. And then it's given us the mint serial of 1 as well. So that's our first NFT that we're now going to bundle up in a batch transaction. So part of this script, what we're going to do is we're going to mint the NFT, and we have to do that outside of the batch transaction because we can't mint a new NFT, get the serial, and send that serial within the same atomic batch transaction. It won't work. So we have to mint the new NFT first, and say for whatever reason the atomic batch transaction fails, we can always burn that NFT and get rid of it. So in the atomic batch transaction, what we're going to need to do is unfreeze the sender. We're going to need to unfreeze the recipient. We're then going to need to transfer the NFT via its serial, we're then going to need to refreeze the recipient, and we're going to need to refreeze the sender as well. And we can do those 5 transactions all in one. They all pass. Happy days. If one fails, they all fail. So there'll be no sort of break in the logic there as well. Okay, so let's get started. So we've got the NFT being minted. Let's now work through creating the atomic batch transaction. So first of all, we need to unfreeze the sender. So token unfreeze transaction. Set the token ID to token ID. Set the account ID. So we're the sender, so it's going to be our operator ID. And same as always, we need the batch key as well. And we're going to be freezing with client. Sign. So we need, it's slightly different this time round because we need to sign with the freeze key, but then also you need to sign this with the operator key as well. So you're signing it with the freeze key so that you're unfreezing the account, but you also need to sign it with the operator key because the operator is the payer for this. Unfreeze sender dot sign operator key, and now this whole logic here is done, and we're signing it with the operator key, and therefore it's a paid transaction. So now that we've unfrozen the sender, we now need to unfreeze the recipient as well. It's effectively, actually, we can just take this because it's exactly the same, except instead of unfreeze sender, we unfreeze recipient, and we need to change the account ID to recipient because that's the account we want to unfreeze, and then we need to unfreeze and sign with the operator key again the recipient. Perfect. So now we can transfer. Transfer the NFT. Transfer transaction. Add an NFT transfer. So here we are adding the NFT transfer. We're transferring this NFT. We're transferring the serial. So if you remember the one that we minted at the start of this script, we're storing here. And then we're calling down here to say we want to transfer that serial NFT. And we're transferring it from the operator to the recipient. So then, as always, we're going to set the batch key. Freeze with client. And we're going to sign with our operator key. And then this time we don't need to do this extra sign here because there's no extra key that we need to sign this transaction with. because we're signing up with the operator key, and that's where the payment will be taken from. So now we need to refreeze. We can actually cheat a little bit here as well by taking these. And I have just noticed this is slightly wrong because we're doing a token freeze transaction and we should be doing a token unfreeze transaction like that. Which actually makes our life a little bit easier because we're calling the right method already. So just to walk through it again, we are unfreezing the operator ID, which is the account we're sending the NFT from. We are unfreezing the recipient. We are transferring the NFT, and then we're refreezing both the sender and the recipient again. Let's make that look a little bit nicer. So now we need to actually construct the batch transaction again. Batch transaction here. We're going to need to add another transaction. Unfreeze sender. Unfreeze recipient. We call that one transfer NFT. And we need to freeze. We need to freeze sender as well. And as you can see here, these would actually fail here because we didn't update it. Here we need to ensure that we are signing the correct transaction there. So as you can see, it's all built out now, all in this one nice big batch transaction. So let's execute. Perfect. One thing we've forgotten to do as well, by the looks of it, is actually sign our batch transaction. Perfect. And that's the outer pair for the entire batch transaction. Don't forget to freeze as well. We've got to freeze this with the client, like so. I'm going to make this a wait as well. Perfect. Now you just need to fix this last error here. Can't really, but it looks like I'm calling receipt somewhere else. Actually, this should be recipient. Perfect. So, no errors. Let's see if this works. Batch list contains duplicates. That's another error that we can now debug. So let's have a look, see if we can figure out where that's going wrong. I'm freezing our sender. It's got the right one. Yep. 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 Same with recipient. Recipient looks good. The transfer looks good. The refreeze looks good. The refreeze looks good. And there we are. So let's change this. So that error there is a good example of if you're trying to effectively make the same in a transaction twice, you'll get a batch list contains duplicate error. So then just have a look at your inner transactions and see if you can see if there's a duplicate in there. So this should, touch wood, work now. There we are. Look at that. So now if we go over to our operator ID again on Hashscan, search it up, operations, perfect, atomic batch, unfreeze, unfreeze, transfer, freeze, freeze, transactions this batch. You can see there, so we've unfrozen the account, we've unfrozen the recipient, sent the NFT, refrozen the sender, refrozen the recipient as well. And there you have it, that's all done. So you can do lots with atomic batch transactions. They're just a few examples. If you are having trouble executing any of these or need some more assistance, please reach out to us on Discord. There should be a link in the description, and it should appear on the screen as well, that you can join the Discord, and there's some great people in there that will help you set up atomic batch transactions. Thanks very much.